LiberalViewer presents.
So, welcome to this special LiberalViewer first presidential debate clip roundup, that I've titled Biden Wins Trump Shit Show. And I guess this is the first, of course, 2020 presidential debate. Donald Trump and Joe Biden definitely were in a shit show, but I'm also going to say who was responsible for that when I get to those clips. And I'll also explain why I think Biden won. I'm going to use 7 different clips from the debate, but I'm also going to include my media criticism. And let me just make sure this is working. Okay. I'm also going to include my media criticism of some debate punditry from Jake Tapper and Dana Bash on CNN, from the Fox and Friends gang on Fox News this morning, and also from Bob Woodward appearing on MSNBC's Morning Joe this morning. And I guess that first clip, the last 2 media clips I'm going to show you at the end, but I'm going to start off with the CNN, other than what Wolf Blitzer said briefly, which I don't really care about. The immediate post-debate commentary from CNN came from Jake Tapper and then Dana Bash. And you'll see Dana Bash concurs with what I thought about the debate. I mean, I'm sure many Americans across the country were thinking spontaneously the words shit show over and over again during the debate. And I will discuss why that is not specific enough about the shit show and who's responsible for it after I show the clip. But actually, Jake Tapper had much more flowery prose, I guess, about the debate. He mentioned several metaphors for the debate, not including shit show, and one of them is dumpster fire. And so here's my, as a history major in college, this is my political comedy on the dumpster fire. I think it actually would have been more accurate to call it a dumpster fire behind the Reichstag that started the Reichstag fire. That's what I would call this debate. For people who know about the history of fascism, the rise of fascism in Germany in before World War II, that's my political comedy joke, but not much to joke about. And Jake Tapper and Dana Bash both seem pretty serious in this post-debate CNN commentary I will talk about with you a little more after we watch it together over here.
That was a hot mess inside a dumpster fire, inside a train wreck. That was the worst debate I have ever seen. In fact, it wasn't even a debate. It was a disgrace. And it's primarily because of President Trump, who spent the entire time interrupting, not abiding by the rules that he agreed to, lying, maliciously attacking the son of the vice president. When asked to condemn white supremacists, he brought up the name of a neo-fascist far-right group and said, stand back and stand by. I will talk about who won the debate, who lost the debate, but I can tell you one thing for sure. The American people lost tonight because that was horrific.
You just took the words out of my mouth. You used some high-minded language. I'm just going to say it like it is. That was a shit show. And, we're on cable. We can say that. Apologies for being maybe a little bit crude, but that is really the phrase that I'm getting more, from people on both sides of the aisle on text. And it's the only phrase that I can think of to really describe it.
And like I said, those were the words that popped spontaneously to my mind when watching the debate. And then I paused the debate and went and made and ate dinner after the debate, came back, watched that CNN commentary, and thought, yes, shit show. But Dana Bash said she'd heard that from both sides. But one of the problems with giving it that terminology is that it doesn't really say who is the shitter and who is the shitty, I guess what you would say. And it was actually Trump's shit show. And Biden still won, and I say that because Trump interrupted about twice as many times as Biden did, and he was the one who started the interruptions. And, one thing you have to know about this debate, and probably a lot of people after watching it know, because Chris Wallace mentioned it several times before the debate, they came up with rules, and it was in each of these question segments that Chris Wallace would ask a question, and then each of the participants were supposed to get 2 minutes uninterrupted, and then there was supposed to be cross debate, and Trump just couldn't handle that. And I'm going to show you 7 debate clips here that I hope you will talk about with me down in the comment section while we watch them together. The first one, this is about 10 minutes into the debate, where Chris Wallace is they're talking about Obamacare and the Obamacare mandate, and I think this is like the first indication that Chris Wallace is losing control of the debate. This is about 4.5 minutes, and I think you'll see why I picked this clip as the beginning of the debate going off the rails after we watched it together over here.
Absolutely a big thing. That was the worst part of Obamacare.
Sir,
Chris,
you're
that was the
debating
worst
him,
part
not
of
me.
Obamacare.
Let me ask my question.
Well, I'll ask Joe. The individual mandate was the most unpopular aspect of Obamacare. I got rid of it.
I'd like
and
you
we will protect
Mr.
people
President,
with
I'm the
pre-existing
moderator of this
conditions.
debate, and I would like you to let me ask my question, and then you can answer your
ahead.
question. You, in the course of these 4 years, have never come up with a comprehensive plan to replace Obamacare, and just this last Thursday, you signed a largely symbolic executive order to protect people with pre-existing conditions 5 days before this debate. So my question, sir, is what is the Trump health care plan?
Right. Well, first of all, I guess I'm debating you, not him, but that's okay. I'm not surprised. Let me just tell you something, that there's nothing symbolic. I'm cutting drug prices. I'm going with favored nations, which no president has the courage to do because you're going against Big Pharma. Drug prices will be coming down 80 or 90%. You could have done it during your 47-year period in government, but you didn't do it. Nobody's done it. So we're cutting health care. All of the things that we've done, insulin. I give you an example. Insulin. It was destroying families, destroying people. The cost. I'm getting it for so cheap. It's like water, you want to know the truth. So cheap. Take a look at all of the drugs what we're doing, prescription drug prices. We're going to allow our governors now to go to other countries to buy drugs because they pay just a tiny fraction.
As I say, this is open discussion.
No,
let me
but
ask
this is
you
big.
about,
This is big stuff.
Sir, you'll be happy. I'm about to pick up on one of your points to ask the vice president, which is he points out that you would like to add a public option to Obamacare, and the argument that he makes and other Republicans make is that that is going to end private insurance.
It is
and
not.
Well, if I can ask you the question, it will
Not
end.
what your party says, by the way.
It will end private insurance and create a government takeover of health care.
It does not. It's only for those people who are so poor they qualify for Medicaid. They can get that free in most states, except governors who want to deny people who are poor Medicaid. Anyone who qualifies for Medicare would, Medicaid would automatically be enrolled in the public option. The vast majority of the American people would still not be in that option, number one.
Joe, you agreed with Bernie Sanders, who's far left, on the manifesto, we call it, and that gives you socialized medicine.
Look, hey,
Are you saying
I'm not
you
going to
didn't
listen to
agree?
him. The fact of the matter is, I beat Bernie Sanders.
Not by much.
I beat him a whole hell of a lot. I'm here standing facing you, old buddy.
Pocahontas would have left 2 days early. You would have lost every primary.
All he knows how to
on
do
Super
is hurt.
Tuesday. You got very lucky.
Here's the deal. I got very lucky. I'm going to get very lucky tonight as well. And tonight I'm going to make sure, because here's the deal. Here's the deal. The fact is that everything he's saying so far is simply a lie. I'm not here to call out his lies. Everybody knows he's a liar.
But you
I just
agree.
want to make sure.
Joe, you're the liar.
I want to make sure.
Graduated last in your class, not first in your class.
I want to make
Mr.
sure.
President, can you let him finish, sir?
No, he doesn't know how to do that. He has,
You'd be surprised.
You pick
You'd be surprised.
the
Go ahead,
wrong
Joe.
guy, the wrong night at the wrong time.
Listen, you agreed with
Here's the
Bernie
deal.
Sanders to the
The
manifesto.
whole idea.
Let him.
There is no manifesto, number
Please
one.
let him speak, Mr.
Number
President.
two.
You just lost the left.
Number two.
You just lost the left. You agreed with Bernie Sanders on a plan
Folks,
that's absolutely
folks,
agreed
do you have
to,
any
and under that
idea
plan,
what
you
this clown's
socialized,
doing?
They call it
Mr.
Do you have any do?
socialized medicine.
Mr.
Well,
President.
I tell you what, he is not for any help for people needing health care. Because because he, in fact, already has cost 10 million people their health care that they had from their employers because of his recession. Number one. Number two, there are 20 million people getting health care through Obamacare now that he wants to take it away. He won't ever look you in the eye and say that's what he wants to do. Take it away.
No, I want to give him better health care at a much lower price because
by the way,
Obamacare
he doesn't know how. He doesn't know how to do that.
I've already fixed it.
He has never offered a plan.
Fixed it to an extent.
He has never done a single thing.
As you might know, but probably don't.
Gentlemen, you realize if you're both speaking at the same time,
and it's too expensive.
Let the president. Go ahead, sir.
Obamacare is no good.
And they go on talking about Obamacare, but I think you can see there that Chris Wallace was beginning to lose control of Donald Trump and his inability to follow the rules. I will put, I didn't have time. This is kind of a rush job. I think you saw my stumbling at the beginning. I kind of didn't even have any sort of introduction planned and sort of did an ad lib there at the beginning. I don't know if it was worth it, but and this is also YouTube changed my interface. They got rid of the old live control room and everything, and I am having like real problems seeing any of the viewer comments that came. I can see them up to like right before I started the show, and then I see, oh wait, now all of a sudden that I'm complaining, it started to scroll. But I do see some super chat contributions from Matthew, who's missing Jeopardy. I hope you have it recorded and you can watch it later. Lulu Girl, thanks for the Wednesday. Mary Wani for, my pink menudo. Is that what you would call the color of this shirt? I have to go look up what it was called when I ordered it, but I don't think it was called pink menudo. Then Kettle saying it's a morning show. I guess where Kettle is, it must be the morning. Where I am, it's late in the afternoon. And yeah, now all of a sudden, was somebody at YouTube listening? Because all the comments are now scrolling. But I guess I will read the live comments while we watch the second clip where things go even more out of control. You'll see the progressive shit show along the way here. Like I said, this is where Chris Wallace asks Biden about court packing, which it shouldn't even be called court packing. It should be called court reform because of all the nefarious tactics the Republicans have used to steal Supreme Court seats. They kept, the whole Merrick Garland debacle, where they kept the seat open from February before the election and claimed it was because the people had to decide, which they totally contradicted with this the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And then in the middle they put Brett Kavanaugh on the court, even though there was a lot of evidence that he lied about his drinking at Yale in his Senate confirmation hearings, and the White House stopped the FBI from investigating a bunch of witnesses who were his classmates at Yale in 1983-84, and so that was like a second stolen seat. So I think already the Democrats have a lot of reason to restructure the court if they take over the presidency and the Senate, and you'll see that's what Chris Wallace asks Biden about, and Trump just can't stop himself from the interrupting. And this is where you'll see the famous line from Biden that I guess became a t-shirt overnight, the "shut up man" comment, and "stop your yapping" is in here. This is definitely the beginning of the old man fight shit show, or I guess the last clip was really the beginning, but this is where you can tell what we're in for, and I will talk about that with you a little more after we watch that clip together over here.
Absolutely a big thing. That was the worst part of Obamacare.
Sir,
Chris, that was the worst part of Obamacare.
Let me ask my question.
Well, I'll ask Joe. The individual mandate was the most unpopular aspect of Obamacare. I got rid of it.
I'd like
and we will protect people with
President, I'm the moderator of this
conditions.
debate, and I would like you to let me ask my question, and then you can answer your question.
Go ahead.
You, in the course of these 4 years, have never come up with a comprehensive plan to replace Obamacare, and just this last Thursday, you signed a largely symbolic executive order to protect people with pre-existing conditions 5 days before this debate. So my question, sir, is what is the Trump health care plan?
Fine. Well, first of all, I guess I'm debating you, not him, but that's okay. I'm not surprised. Let me just tell you something, that there's nothing symbolic. I'm cutting drug prices. I'm going with favored nations, which no president has the courage to do because you're going against Big Pharma. Drug prices will be coming down 80 or 90%. You could have done it during your 47-year period in government, but you didn't do it. Nobody's done it. So we're cutting health care. All of the things that we've done, insulin. I give you an example. Insulin. It was destroying families, destroying people. The cost. I'm getting it for so cheap. It's like water, you want to know the truth. So cheap. Take a look at all of the drugs what we're doing, prescription drug prices. We're going to allow our governors now to go to other countries to buy drugs because they pay just a tiny fraction.
As I say, this is open discussion.
No,
let me
but
ask
this
you
is
about,
big, this is big stuff.
Sir, you'll be happy. I'm about to pick up on one of your points to ask the vice president, which is he points out that you would like to add a public option to Obamacare, and the argument that he makes and other Republicans make is that that is going to end private insurance.
It is
and
not.
Well, if I can ask you the question, it will
not
end.
What your party says, by the way.
It will end private insurance and create a government takeover of health care.
It does not. It's only for those people who are so poor they qualify for Medicaid. They can get that free in most states, except governors who want to deny people who are poor Medicaid. Anyone who qualifies for Medicaid would automatically be enrolled in the public option. The vast majority of the American people would still not be in that option, number one.
Joe, you agreed with Bernie Sanders, who's far left, on the manifesto, we call it, and that gives you socialized medicine.
Look, hey,
Are you saying
I'm not
you
going to
didn't
listen to
agree?
him. The fact of the matter is, I beat Bernie Sanders.
Not by much.
I beat him a whole hell of a lot. I'm here standing facing you, old buddy.
Pocahontas would have left 2 days early. You would have lost every primary.
All he knows how to
on
do is
Super Tuesday. You got very lucky.
Here's the deal. I got very lucky. I'm going to get very lucky tonight as well. And tonight I'm going to make sure, because here's the deal. Here's the deal. The fact is that everything he's saying so far is simply a lie. I'm not here to call out his lies. Everybody knows he's a liar.
But you
I just want to make sure.
Joe, you're the liar.
I want to make sure.
Graduated last in your class, not first in your class.
I want to make sure.
Mr. President, can you let him finish, sir?
No, he doesn't know how to do that. He has,
You'd be surprised.
You pick
You'd be surprised.
the
Go ahead,
wrong
Joe.
guy, the wrong night at the wrong time.
Listen, you agreed with
Here's the
Bernie
deal.
Sanders to the
The
manifesto.
whole idea.
Now you're disavowing it.
There is no manifesto, number
Please
one.
let him speak, Mr.
Number
President.
two.
You just lost the left.
Number two.
You just lost the left. You agreed with Bernie Sanders on a plan.
Folks,
absolutely
folks,
agreed
do you
to,
have any
and under that
idea
plan,
what
you
this clown's
socialized,
doing?
They call it
Mr.
Do you
Mr.
have any
President.
socialized medicine.
Mr.
Well,
President.
I tell you what, he is not for any help for people needing health care because he in fact already has cost 10 million people their health care that they had from their employers because of his recession. Number one. Number two, there are 20 million people getting health care through Obamacare now that he wants to take it away. He won't ever look you in the eye and say that's what he wants to do. Take it away.
No, I want to give them better health care at a much lower price because
by the way,
Obamacare
he doesn't know how. He doesn't know how to do that.
I've already fixed it.
He has never offered a plan.
I've already fixed it to an extent.
He has never
Obamacare,
done a
as you
single
might
thing.
know, but probably don't.
Gentlemen, you realize if you're both speaking at the same time,
and it's too expensive.
Let the president go ahead, sir.
Obamacare is no good.
Obamacare is no good, and you see, Chris Wallace start talking about them both speaking at the same time, and then letting Trump go into his whole like, I'm gonna replace Obamacare with something cheaper and better, and he's never had a plan. And I think Biden did. That's another clip showing how Biden won the debate in the midst of Trump's interruptions. And then here in this next clip, this is a shorter clip. It's mostly just Chris Wallace here trying to get Trump to stop the interruptions. This is about maybe 48 minutes into the debate, and it's really his first really significant effort to get control of the debate. And I mean, you saw a little bit in the previous clips, but this is part of Chris Wallace's failure. I mean, maybe no one could have done it. They're saying that the debate commission is going to provide tools to cut off people who won't shut up when they're not supposed to be talking during, like, they might be able to cut Trump's mic some of the time. Maybe that's a good thing, but here's what Chris Wallace tried to do about 48 minutes into the debate last night over here.
There has been talk about ending the filibuster or even packing the court, adding to the 9 justices there. You call this a distraction by the president, but in fact, it wasn't brought up by the president. It was brought up by some of your Democratic colleagues in the Congress. So my question to you is, you have refused in the past to talk about it. Are you willing to tell the American people tonight whether or not you will support either ending the filibuster or packing the court?
Whatever position I take on that, that'll become the issue. The issue is the American people should speak. You should go out and vote. You're in voting now. Vote and let your senators know how strongly you feel. Vote now.
Are you going to pack the court?
Make sure you, in fact, let people know you're a senator. I'm not going to answer the question.
Why wouldn't you answer that question?
The question is,
radical left.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen, who is on your list, Joe? Who's on your list?
Gentlemen, I think
this
we've
is
ended
so
this.
He's going to pack the court.
We have
not going to give a list.
We have ended this segment. We're going to move on to the second segment.
That was really a productive segment, wasn't it? Keep yapping, man.
The people understand, Joe.
They sure
47 years you've done nothing. They understand.
All right. The second subject is COVID-19, which is an awfully serious subject.
Actually, that was the clip. I misintroduced that clip. It's actually clip 6 where he tries to stop the constant interruptions, and that's the clip with both the shut up man and the constant yapping, and then he ends it as I showed there, where we're about to go into the topic of COVID-19, so maybe we'll treat that seriously, but no, they actually really didn't. And you saw in that last clip also how Biden won the debate by looking directly into the camera and talking to the American people. A lot of the time, I mean, he didn't do that the whole debate, but that was his best tactic. Trump was almost always looking at Chris Wallace or looking at Biden. I don't think Trump ever looked directly into the camera. And I think you'll also see that in this next longer clip where, you know, Biden had a few prepared lines, and his best prepared line was in this clip where he referred to Trump's poor leadership during the COVID-19 crisis, all the American deaths, that Trump responded, you know, it is what it is, and that's because you are who you are, Donald Trump. That was, I think, his best prepared line that I will talk about with you a little more after we watch that clip together over here.
Why should the American people trust you more than your opponent to deal with this public health crisis going forward? In this case, the question goes to you first, sir. 2 minutes uninterrupted. Good luck.
200,000 dead. As you said, over 7 million infected in the United States. We, in fact, have 4% of the world's population, 20% of the deaths. 40,000 people a day are contracting COVID. In addition to that, about between 750 and 1,000 people a day are dying. When he was presented with that number, he said, it is what it is. Well, it is what it is because you are who you are. That's why it is. The president has no plan. He hasn't laid out anything. He knew all the way back in February how serious this crisis was. He knew it was a deadly disease. What did he do? He's on tape as acknowledging he knew it. He said he didn't tell us or give people a warning of it because he didn't want to panic the American people. You don't panic. He panicked. In addition to that, what did he do? He went in and we were insisting that the Chinese, the people we had on the ground in China should be able to go to Wuhan and determine for themselves how dangerous this was. He did not even ask Xi to do that. He told us what a great job Xi was doing. He said we owe him a debt of gratitude for being so transparent with us. And what did he do then? He then did nothing. He waited and waited and waited. He still doesn't have a plan. Wrong. I laid out back in March exactly what we should be doing. And I laid out again in July what we should be doing. We should be providing all the protective gear possible. We should be providing the money the House has passed in order to be able to go out and get people the help they need to keep their businesses open schools that cost a lot of money. You should get out of your bunker and get out of the sand trap and get in your golf course and go in the Oval Office and bring together the Democrats and Republicans and fund what needs to be done now to save lives.
So if we would have listened to you.
You have 2 minutes, sir.
If we would have listened to you, the country would have been left wide open. Millions of people would have died, not 200,000. And one person is too much. It's China's fault. It should have never happened. They stopped it from going in, but it was China's fault. And by the way, when you talk about numbers, you don't know how many people died in China. You don't know how many people died in Russia. You don't know how many people died in India. They don't exactly give you a straight count, just so you understand. But if you look at what we've done, I closed it, and you said he's xenophobic. He's a racist, and he's xenophobic because you didn't think I should have closed our country. Wait a minute.
It says 2 minutes.
You didn't think we should have closed our country because you thought it was terrible. You wouldn't have closed it for another 2 months. By my doing it early, in fact, Dr. Fauci said, President Trump saved thousands of lives. Many of your Democrat governors said, President Trump did a phenomenal job. We worked with the governor. Oh, really? Go take a look. The governors said I did a phenomenal job. Most of them said that. In fact, people that would not be necessarily on my side said that. President Trump did a phenomenal job. We did. We got the gowns. We got the masks. We made the ventilators. You wouldn't have made ventilators. And now we're weeks away from a vaccine. We're doing therapeutics already. Fewer people are dying when they get sick. Far fewer people are dying. We've done a great job. The only thing I haven't done a good job, and that's because of the fake news. No matter what you say to them, they give you bad press on it. It's just fake news. They give you good press. They give me bad press because that's the way it is, unfortunately. But let me just tell you something. I don't care. I've gotten used to it. But I'll tell you, Joe, you could never have done the job that we did. You don't have it in your blood. You could have never done that job.
I know how to do the job. I know how to get the job
Well, you
done.
didn't do very well in swine flu. H1N1, you were a disaster. Your own chief of staff said you were a disaster.
14,000 people died, not 200,000. There was no economic recession.
Sir, you made a
there was no recession.
You made a point. Let him answer it.
And there was no one. We didn't shut down.
So, like I said, I thought Biden had his best line. You are who you are. Or it is what it is, and that's because you are who you are, and he did his looking into the camera thing. I saw in the live comments you were talking about how I played the clip before last twice, but yeah, that's because as I was explaining, I misintroduced it. I confused. That was the third clip I confused with the sixth clip where Chris Wallace actually spends some time trying to stop Trump's constant interruptions, but that clip did have the shut up man and the stop your yapping. So yeah, no, I'm sorry I played the clip twice, but that's because I got a little bit discombobulated by trying to work with this interface and rushing to do this clip roundup at a time I normally don't do it. It was an extra several hours of work on a day when I actually had other things to do. So I hope you appreciate the time and effort I put into giving you my commentary and criticism of last night's debate, along with these the CNN, the Fox News, and the MSNBC reaction. I didn't get ABC and CBS. Maybe when I do the next debate clip roundup, I'll be able to do that in October. But this next clip is a clip where I think the differences between Trump's handling of COVID-19 and what a Biden presidency would do in terms of following the scientists. This, again, I think Biden does a great job of being presidential while Trump is creating the shit show. Like I said, Trump is the shitter. Biden and Chris Wallace are kind of the shit-ease in this situation. This starts off being about masks, and then it also talks about rallies. And the one thing about this clip, and I saw Stephen Colbert on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert did a little routine on something that I also thought about live when I was watching the debate. There is a point in this answer from Trump, or a couple points, where I couldn't stop myself from yelling at the screen, Herman Cain. What about Herman Cain? Anyone remember what happened to Herman Cain? See if you can figure out where I was shouting that in this clip.
Trump, you have begun to increasingly question the effectiveness of masks as a disease preventer. And in fact, recently you have cited the issue of waiters touching their masks and touching plates. Are you questioning
No, I think
the
masks
efficacy
are okay.
of
You have
masks?
to understand, if you look, I mean, I have a mask right here. I put a mask on, when I think I need it. Tonight, as an example, everybody's had a test, and you've had social distancing and all of the things that you have to. But I
Just
wear
like your
masks
rallies.
when needed. When needed, I wear masks.
Okay, let me ask.
I don't wear masks like him. Every time you see him, he's got a mask. He could be speaking 200 feet away from it. He shows up with the biggest mask I've ever seen. I will say this.
Vice President Biden, go ahead, sir.
Look, the way to open businesses is give them the wherewithal to be able to open. We provided money. The Congress.
But I was asking you, sir, about masks.
Well, masks make a big difference. His own head of the CDC said if we just wore masks between now, everybody wore masks in social distance between now and January, we'd probably save up to 100,000 lives. It matters.
And they've also said the opposite. They've also said
no serious person said the opposite.
They've also said, well, look
serious
at Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci said the opposite.
Did not
I
say
want to
the
ask you, we got a
said
little
very
bit more than a
strongly,
minute left in this
masks
segment.
are not good. Then he changed his mind. He said masks are good. I'm okay with masks.
I
I'm
want to
not
ask you
fighting
both
masks.
about one last subject, because your different approaches has even affected the way that you have campaigned. President Trump, you're holding large rallies with crowds packed together, thousands of people.
Outside.
Outside, yes, sir, agreed. Vice President Biden, you are holding much smaller events with...
Because nobody will show up.
People with...
Well, it's true. Nobody shows up to his rallies.
All right. In any case, why you holding the big rallies? Why you not? You go first, sir.
Because people want to hear what I have to say. I mean,
But are you
I've
not
done a
worried
great
about it
job
spreading
as a
disease?
president, and I'll have 35,000 people show up at airports. We use airports.
Are you
for
not worried
hangars,
about
and we
the
have a
disease
lot of
issues,
people.
sir?
Well, so far, we have had no problem whatsoever. It's outside. That's a big difference, according to the experts. And we do them outside. We have tremendous crowds, as you see. I mean, and literally on 24 hours notice. And Joe does the circles and has 3 people someplace.
Okay.
By the way, did you see one of the last big rallies he had? And a reporter came up to him to ask him a question. He said, no, stand back. Put on your mask. Put on a mask. Have you been tested? I'm way far away from those other people. That's what he said. I can't. I'm going to be okay. He's not worried about you. He's not worried about the people out there breathing in one another.
We've had no negative effect.
No negative effect.
We've had no negative effect. And we've had 35,000, 40,000 people at these rallies.
Just quickly finish up, because I want to move on to our next.
Yes, I would. He's been totally irresponsible the way in which he has handled the social distancing and people wearing masks, basically encouraging them not to.
All right.
He's a fool on this.
If you could get the crowds, you would have done the same thing. But you can't. Nobody cares.
Gentlemen, can we move on to the economy? Gentlemen, can we move on to the economy?
Yes.
The economy.
And I'll get to their economic records in a minute, but and their personal records. I have 3 more clips from the debate, but I think there that, again, Biden won that interchange, or that exchange of the different ways they approach COVID-19, and especially their rallies. I think you saw, like when Trump was saying no negative effects, why did someone not say Herman Cain? And I mean, it's pretty ridiculous, and I've talked about that for months on my Sunday live clip roundups about the Trump rallies where they're squishing them all in without the mask. Even if they're outside, the one thing that really worries me is that Trump and the Republicans have made the calculation that anything they do now just creates infections, and it takes several weeks for the infections to become hospitalizations, and then it takes weeks after that for the hospitalizations to become COVID-19 deaths, and all that like really bad stuff is going to occur after the election. We're 34 days away. We don't have enough time for the effects of Trump's dangerous rally policies and I even saw the Trump family took their masks off during the debate. I mean, it's ridiculous the example they're setting. You saw Trump saying, Fauci originally. You may remember when I first started covering COVID in my Sunday live streams, I wore a mask one week and I took it off and said, oh, well, they're saying the mask only helps you to stop you from spreading the virus to someone else. It doesn't protect you. And that's why they didn't say you should wear a mask until a lot of people had COVID, because first it drained the personal protective equipment resources that frontline healthcare workers needed, but also because it wasn't doing much to protect anyone when almost no one had the virus. But now that was just like back in February and the beginning of March. More has been learned about the virus for a long time, as Biden would, no health experts saying that now, even though Fauci may have said that back in February and March, when wearing a mask didn't really do any good for anybody in the United States. But it's kind of scandalous that Trump is still pushing that bad mask policy at this point. Now, this next clip is the one that I misintroduced before. This is Chris Wallace saying to Trump that he's the one who's doing the interrupting. They're getting to the end here, and can he please stop being the interrupter? And I'll talk about that a little more after we watch that clip together over here.
The answer to the question is no.
Ukraine.
No, sir.
With $1 billion, if you
That is absolutely not true.
You're doing it.
You're going to
Not
have
tape.
True.
Gentlemen. I hate to raise my voice,
he's
but
on
it seems
tape.
to be, why should I be different than the two of you? So here's the deal.
Good point.
We have 6 segments. We have ended that segment. We're going to go to the next segment. In that segment, you each are going to have 2 uninterrupted moments. In those 2 uninterrupted minutes, Mr. President, you can say anything you want. I'm going to ask a question about race, but if you want to answer about something else, go ahead. But I think that the country would be better served if we allowed both people to speak with fewer interruptions. I'm appealing to you, sir, to do that.
Well, and him too.
Well, frankly, you've been doing more interrupting
Well, that's
than
all
he
right,
has.
but he does plenty.
Well, less than, sir, less
there's
than.
plenty.
No, less than you have. Let's please continue on. The issue of race. Vice President Biden,
So I saw I had some buffering issues there, some streaming issues. I guess I may have to upload my recorded show. I apologize for that, but I think you saw there that Chris Wallace almost seemed to start taking Biden's side in terms of who was doing the most interrupting. But of course, that is kind of a fact. If you were paying attention to what happened up until that point. But I think actually Chris Wallace in some ways saved Joe Biden from a difficult question that Trump asked him about what law enforcement agencies are supporting his candidacy. And Biden didn't really have an answer for that. But then came the most then came the low point of the debate, the point where Trump refused to tell the Proud Boys that they should not stand down. Instead, he said they should stand back and stand by. And Biden does a good job of talking about how Trump riles up the hate. I see the streaming has kind of like reconstituted itself, but I think there's enough of a gap in there that I may have to upload the recorded version of the live stream after I'm done here. Sorry about that for the live viewers. I'm not sure exactly how much you missed, but I will be uploading the recorded version of the live stream as soon as I'm done. And yeah, here is the low point of the debate. Trump refusing to tell the Proud Boys to stand down instead, later today he did, the day after the debate, he said, they should stand down and let law enforcement do their work. But that's after somebody in his communications, I guess, gave him a strong talking to on how he shouldn't be supporting fascist, white nationalist militia people. But that's what he actually did, as you will see in this second to last debate clip I want to share with you today over here.
What do you have? Name one group that supports you. Name one group that came out and supported you. Go ahead. Think. We have time.
We don't have time to do anything.
No, think about it. Name one law enforcement group that came out and supported
gentlemen,
you.
I think I'm going to take back the moderator's role, and I want to get to another subject, which is the issue of protests in many cities that have turned violent. In Portland, Oregon, especially, we had more than 100 straight days of protests, which I think you would agree. You talk about peaceful protests. Many of those turned into riots. Mr. Vice President, you say that people who commit crimes should be held accountable. The question I have, though, is, as the Democratic nominee, and earlier tonight you said that you are the Democratic Party right now, have you ever called the Democratic mayor of Portland or the Democratic governor of Oregon and said, hey, you got to stop this, bring in the National Guard, do whatever it takes, but you stop the days and months of violence in Portland?
I don't hold public office now. I am a former vice president. I've made it clear. I've made it clear in my public statements that the violence should be prosecuted. It should be prosecuted, and anyone who commits it
But you've never called for the people, the leader. Excuse me, sir. You have never called for the leaders in Portland and in Oregon to bring in the National Guard and knock off 100 days of riots.
They can, in fact, take care of it if he just stay out of the way. Look here.
Oh, really?
Really? Here's the thing.
I sent in the U.S. Marshals to get the killer of the young man in the middle of the street. They shot him, and for 3 days,
President Trump,
Portland wouldn't do anything. I had to send in the U.S. Marshals. They took care of business.
Go ahead, sir.
And by the way, his own former spokesperson said, riots and chaos and violence help his cause. That's what this is all about.
I don't know who said that.
I do.
Who?
I think Kellyanne Conway.
I don't think she said that.
She said that. And so here's the here's the point. The point is that's what he keeps trying to rile everything up. He doesn't want to calm things down. Instead of going in and talking to people and saying, let's get everybody together, figure out how to deal with this. What's he do? He just pours gasoline in the fire constantly, and every single solitary time.
Okay, and to end this, button up this segment, I'm going to give you a minute to answer, sir. You have repeatedly criticized.
I have to answer his statement.
No, you have repeatedly.
Wait,
you have
no,
you've been talking back and forth.
You made a statement.
I'm asking you.
I would love to end it.
Sir.
I would love to end it.
If you want to switch seats.
We could very quickly.
We could do that, but
I'd send in the National Guard, it would be over. There'd be no problem.
Okay.
But they don't want to accept the National Guard.
You have repeatedly criticized the vice president for not specifically calling out Antifa and other left-wing extremist groups. But are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland?
Sure,
are you
I'm
prepared
willing to do
specifically
that, but
do it?
Well, go ahead, sir.
I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right wing.
So what are you saying?
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see peace.
Then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it.
Do you want to call him? What do you want to call them? Give me a name. Give me a
white
name.
Supremacists and
who would you like me to condemn?
White supremacists and right
Proud Boys. Stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what. Somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left, because this is not a right-wing problem. This is a left-wing.
FBI director
This is a left-wing problem.
White supremacist. Antifa's an idea, not an organization.
Oh, you got to be
not
kidding.
militia. That's what his FBI, FBI director said.
Well, then you know what?
No, we're done, sir. We're moving on to the next. We're moving.
When a bat hits you over the head, that's not an idea.
Everybody in your administration tells you the truth has a bad idea.
Can I tell you what?
You have no idea.
Antifa is a dangerous, radical
gentlemen,
group.
we're now moving on to the Trump and Biden records.
They'll overthrow you.
When a president, I'm going to ask a question. When the president seeks a second term, it is.
So I think Chris Wallace, like I said, kind of saved Biden at the beginning of that clip, not being able to mention a law enforcement agency that endorses him. That's a tough question because all the cops are on Trump's side, which is something that's a little disturbing, especially if you're worried about, like what Masha Gessen is talking about, surviving autocracy, which there's a lot of stuff from that debate that made me worry about those kinds of things. And that's also where Antifa started. I don't know if anyone's read this book, Antifa, the Anti-Fascist Handbook, written by Mark Bray, which is actually kind of a history of Antifa going all the way back to the 30s in Hitler's Germany, including the history of the Reichstag fire, that joke I made at the beginning, that, pretty dark humor joke, I guess, if you're going to be joking about the dumpster fire that started the Reichstag fire. But, I've participated in a lot of street protests, especially with Black Lives Matter locally here in Sacramento, and I have interacted with a lot of people who identified as Antifa. You could kind of, back in the before times, you could identify them because they often wore masks. They would wear black and they'd have their faces covered, like, I don't know, almost looking like ninjas or something. And usually what they would do is they would provide security for the marches. But like Biden said in that last clip, Trump's own FBI director, Chris Wray, said Antifa is more an ideology, or he said idea, not an organization. It's not, it's like, who's in charge of anarchism? It's almost that kind of thing. Antifa just means anti-fascism, and it's fighting white supremacy, white supremacists. White nationalism is a type of fascism, since fascism is the glorification of the nation state over the rights of the individual, and of course the scapegoating of the other. It might be like blacks, Jews, immigrants, or, you've lived through the Trump presidency, so you know what fascism is, or creeping fascism is. At least that's my opinion. You can let me know what you think down in the comments section. I apologize for the stream errors. Like I said, I'm going to be uploading the recorded show after I finish the live stream, I guess, because of the gaps there. But I want to show this one final clip. This wasn't the last part of the shit show, but this was, that was the low point for the country, but this was the low point for Trump, where you'll see Biden trying to explain why his record is better than Trump's record. So he talks about all the weaknesses in Trump's record as president, and Trump just can't take it. And especially when he gets to the end and he's talking about his son, Beau Biden, being a hero, not like a sucker and a loser, as Trump is reported to have said, and about veterans who are killed or missing in action or whatever, or captured like John McCain. And then Trump can't resist going after Trump's other son, Hunter Biden, for his drug addiction, which I think Joe Biden handled pretty well. And then you'll see how Chris Wallace handled the whole last shit show clip I'm going to show you. Even though there were the climate change came after this, accepting the results of the election came after this. I'm not going to show you any clips of that, but I'll explain a little more why that is after we watch this final Trump versus Biden. Biden wins Trump's shit show debate clip over here.
Records. Why should voters elect you president as opposed to President Trump? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Under this president, we become weaker, sicker, poorer, more divided, and more violent. When I was vice president, we inherited a recession. I was asked to fix it. I did. We left him a booming economy, and he caused a recession. With regard to being weaker, the fact is that I've gone head-to-head with Putin and made it clear to him we're not going to take any of his stuff. He's Putin's puppy. He still refuses to even say anything to Putin about the bounty on the heads of American soldiers.
Your son got $3.5 million.
And by the way, my son...
Wait a minute. Mr. President, your campaign agreed to both sides would get 2-minute answers uninterrupted. Well, your side agreed to it, and why don't you observe what your campaign agreed to as a ground rule, okay, sir?
He never keeps his word. Can you add back
No, I'm not asking. That was a rhetorical question.
Can you
Go
add
ahead,
back
sir.
30 seconds?
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
you may have.
All right.
Go ahead.
So, thirdly, we're poor. The billionaires have gotten much more wealthy by a tune of over $300 to $400 billion more just since COVID. You in the home, you got less. You're in more trouble than you were before. In terms of being more violent, when we were in office, there were 15% less violence in America than there is today. He's president of the United States. It's on his watch. And with regard to more divided, the nation can't stay divided. We can't be this way. And speaking of my son, the way you talk about the military, the way you talk about them being losers and being and just being suckers. My son was in Iraq. He spent a year there. He got the Bronze Star. He got the Conspicuous Service Medal. He was not a loser. He was a patriot, and the people left behind there were heroes.
Really?
And I resent.
Are you talking
like
about
hell.
Hunter? Are you talking about Hunter?
I'm talking about my son, Bo Biden. You're talking about.
I don't know Bo. I know Hunter.
Yeah,
Hunter
you know
got
Bo.
thrown. Hunter got thrown out of the military. He was thrown out, dishonorably discharged.
That's not true. He
for
wasn't dishonorably.
cocaine use. And he didn't have a job until you became vice president. And once you became vice president, he made a fortune in Ukraine, in China, in Moscow,
That is simply
and various
not
other places.
true.
He
My
made
son,
a fortune.
My son.
And he didn't have a job.
My son, like a lot of people we know at home, had a drug problem. He's overtaken it. He's fixed it. He's worked on it, and I'm proud of him.
But why was he
proud of
given
my
tens
son.
of millions
All right.
of
But
dollars?
he wasn't given
All right.
tens of millions of
He was
dollars.
given
That
tens
is
of
totally,
millions of
that's been
dollars.
totally
President Trump,
discredited.
we've already been through.
Totally discredited.
We've already been through this. I think the American people would rather hear about more substantial
So do I.
subjects. Well, you know, as the moderator, sir, I'm going to make a
I know, but when
judgment call
somebody
here.
gets $3.5 million from the
Let's
mayor
talk
of
about-
Moscow,
let's talk about-
I think
true.
it's a terrible
That
thing.
report is totally
Why did he get
discredited.
it?
Mitt Romney on that committee said it wasn't worth taxpayers' money, that report. It was written for political reasons.
You know, I'd like to talk about climate change.
So would I.
Okay. The forest fires in the West.
And kudos to Chris Wallace, at least, for talking about climate change. And like I said, I don't have any clips from that topic or the next topic, which I actually thought was a little tendentious from the Fox News moderator. Like, are mail-in ballots secure when we already know factually there's no evidence of problems with mail-in ballots? And there was one more Trump clip that was very disturbing there at the end about how he wants his followers to go, like, watch what's happening at the polls, which comes very close to criminal voter intimidation. If you send your, like, Proud Boy militias out to the polls to watch people who are voting, that is not a good thing. And he also didn't necessarily say he would accept the results of the election, which Biden did. But like I said, when I upload this, the recorded version of this without all the stream issues later, maybe I might even do it as a premiere video where people can also give live viewer comments. Though I appreciate all the live viewer comments during this live stream with the problems. And I saw even that Tom Trask just gave another super chat contribution, and Lulu Girl asked if I had a Dandy clip. Yes, I do have a Dash and Sandy clip, or a Dandy clip that I got right before the show started that I will play at the end. But I thought that all those clips I showed, I think, supported the premise I started with, that this was Biden winning Trump shit show. Trump was the one who was the shitter, and Biden still won the debate by looking into the camera. Some of his set pieces were really good. He had some really good lines. He criticized. He didn't lose his cool. He didn't let Trump get under his skin. Even in that terrible, terrible thing where Trump attacked his son, his living son Hunter, for having a drug addiction, at the same time that Biden was trying to talk about his dead son Bo, who was a decorated war hero. I mean, the Bronze Star, that's heroic according to the military. And Trump I don't know who that whole thing appealed to, but anyway, I have two more clips, not from the debate. These are media pundits. First, both from this morning, one from Fox and Friends and on Fox News, and then its competitor on MSNBC, Morning Joe. I actually watch Morning Joe. I just showed a Morning Joe clip on my Sunday live stream last Sunday, where I talked about how Joe Scarborough is at best sometimes sufferable, and he doesn't appear in this clip. The last clip, which is Bob Woodward saying something, I don't know, kind of provocative. But before I get to that, this is the final clip that proves my point that Biden won the debate, and this is like the closest Fox and Friends could ever get to saying Biden won the debate, which was in the first 15 minutes of Fox and Friends this morning, which I will talk about with you a little more after we watch it together over here.
I guess my soundbite. And because the president...
There's a lot of pressure on you now, Steve. Say something to develop.
I better develop a good idea. Because the president and his team for so long lowered the bar, saying, Joe Biden is going to be drooling, he's going to be just in the fetal position, and Joe Biden showed up and stood up for 90 minutes, it was a wash.
I think also, too, that something that was interesting.
It was a wash. Like I said, the closest Fox News, or at least especially Fox and Friends on Fox News, can come to saying that Biden won the debate. And then the final clip, like I said, something provocative from Bob Woodward this morning. Provocative and then to pessimistic. And I'm sorry to end on a pessimistic note, but that is, I think, the correct emotion to end a live clip roundup of the debate that we all watched last night, which hopefully this will all be over by January 20th, 2021, but Bob Woodward has his doubts after he also makes a provocative statement on MSNBC's Morning Joe this morning over here.
In a sense, I don't want to overstate this, but he is assassinating the presidency. The job of a president is protect the people, tell the truth, provide some sort of moral compass, hey, this is why we're doing it. This is where we're going. I spent a lot of time talking to him over the this year about that, and he will give out words, but there's nothing behind it, and that was revealed last night. So embarrassment, sadness, and people who are going to have to unwind some of this and make sense of our democracy in the coming 4 months before the next president takes office, and it might be Trump. Certainly it might be Trump. Big mess on our hands. Always the question is, are the institutions up to it? And I have to vote doubt on that. I don't know whether we have a process or leadership out there that can gather the remnants that are on the floor that Trump has shredded, just absolutely shredded and ignored, and put it back together. Sorry to be a pessimist.
No, Bob Woodward.
Yeah, I'm sorry that that pessimistic view has a lot of validity. I'm not sure exactly what it means for Trump to be assassinating the presidency, but he is scorching through a lot of political norms, and even the rule of law. I mean, if you read the Mueller report, you know that there were several instances in which there's substantial evidence Trump committed the crime of obstruction of justice. If you read Michael Cohen's plea allocution, you know that he says he was directed to commit campaign finance felonies by individual one, who is Donald Trump, and the prosecutor and the judge aren't supposed to accept that plea allocution unless they have a reasonable basis to believe that it is true. So we know that Trump is most likely a criminal, and he is trying to destroy not just our norms but our institutions. And Bob Woodward, one of the guys who helped save us during the last time we came close to a constitutional crisis in the Nixon era, he's pessimistic as to whether our institutions will survive at this time. So I guess that's what I will leave you with, except that I did promise to end the show on a little bit of a lighter note, a Dash and Sandy or Dandy clip. This was right before the show started. I recorded my cat Dash walking right by Sandy without Sandy doing anything aggressive. So that's what I'm saying. We might be able to heal our nation if dogs and cats can live together in harmony. Then can't we all just get along? And to prove that this is a contemporaneous or just before the beginning of the show Dash and Sandy clip, I think you'll be able to hear Joy Reid on the readout, which started, like I said, about half hour before I started this live stream. In the background, dogs and cats living together to end the show tonight over here.
Do you believe for a moment what he's telling you in light of all the lies he's told you about the whole issue relating
to... And there we go. I'm sorry for the stream errors. I'm going to finish the live stream now and process the recorded version so I can upload that without the live stream errors. I appreciate the 150 to 200 of you who showed up for this faulty live stream. Like I said, I might do the recorded show as a premiere video so people can show up again and comment live on it as I upload it, or as it premieres as an uploaded video in a couple hours. But I will be back next Sunday and every Sunday through at least January 20th, 2021 for my Sunday live clip roundup. I hopefully will also be able to do debate clip roundups for the other two presidential debates and for the vice presidential debate. So I guess until any of those things happen, or I have some other reason to upload a video, I will be seeing all of you around the internet.